Right now then, we released the latest report at the end of January, and that research is what has formed the source of today's webinar, as I've mentioned. If you've not downloaded the report just yet, you can scan the QR code that's on screen or type in the URL, and you can click through to the download button. Fill in that form and you'll have the link in your inbox by the time this webinar is over, or in fact, you could download it now and you could have a look along as I talk things through. And inside, you'll find reviews of 37 products. 21 of them are in-depth assessments against business scenarios, which we formed following in-depth demonstrations with vendors. It is quite a beast. It is quite a long document, but there are lots of anchor links, so you can skip your way through and find the things that are most relevant to you. And inside you'll find the reviews, but you'll also find information like this one. This is a chart showing the scores for all of the products that we've assessed in depth. So if you give that QR code a scan and you can download it, and you will find this right near the start of the report. So you don't need to worry about taking a photo or a screenshot. The report is in much higher resolution than this. And I just wanted to highlight one thing because it's relevant for everybody to know who's on the call, and something that I might come back to or mention a little bit later on. There are two scores being reflected here. You can see there are solid solid boxes like these solid pink ones, and then solid outlines but empty insides as well. The optional extra scores are these little boxes that are highlighted around the edges rather than being solid, and you can see the difference here in this fourth scenario. That's worthwhile highlighting because those optional extra scores show where there's additional time or money or effort that's needed in order to achieve that potential. It's quite an important distinction, and so I wanted to make sure that everybody is aware of it who is attending this call today. So then, this is what I'm going to cover today. I'm going to give you 5 quick observations, which is an overview of what I found. As a quick spoiler, one of them is AI, and so I'm going to talk to you about the AI trends as well. Then I'm going to look at each one of the 8 scenarios that we assess and talk through each one and give you some highlights from each of those, and then there will be time for the Q&A at the end. So first of all, the 5 quick observations then. So the first one is the concept of the intranet as the front door. And this concept reflects the idea of the intranet as the way into other business systems. For example, you might have ServiceNow or IT tickets in Workday, for IT tickets in ServiceNow, for example, or Workday for HR information. But via a front door approach, these services are accessed by an intranet, acting as the employee experience layer into those systems. So employees don't need to care about what they're using in the background, they just see it was all part of that one platform. And the seasoned industry folks that are on the call today, of which I know there are quite a few, you'll recognise this as something that has come around before. It's something that vendors and intranet managers have made a case for in every few years, and it tends to blow over. However, with the power of AI, which I will come on to a little bit later on, I think it's becoming more likely that this is more possible. And also, intranets have an agnostic stance by which they aren't something like ServiceNow, which is also trying to do ticketing. They're not also Workday, which is trying to do HR, people, information, people, data, payroll. They are there to deliver an experience to employees so that they can find the information they need or see the communications that are coming down from their organisation. So they really have that agnostic stance, which means they are more likely to be a front door into the broader digital workplace than other digital workplace tools. An example on screen here is from Acumina, which is really configurable and can act as that front door into a variety of systems. And there's a mobile screenshot example there that shows you how that can pull through into a dashboard approach from lots of different integrated systems. The second observation I wanted to share is that organisations are being cautious, and that might be something that you recognise whether you're a vendor and working with clients or whether you're in an organisation yourself trying to get budget for different projects. And organisations are being cautious about those budgets and spending more time on purchasing decisions due to global economic concerns, I think is the best way to put it. Things are tricky out there right now, and there's a lot going on. And we're seeing people researching the market, benchmarking their current solution, and the report can help you with both of those things. But then other people are also looking at lighter weight or add-on products as an alternative of a fuller platform. And many products in the third section of our report will help with those smaller scale needs. And there's an example on the screen here of a really nice one, which is Beacon, that offers a small number of effective SharePoint add-ons, such as branding. As you can see here, this is a SharePoint intranet. It looks quite different from a standard SharePoint intranet. On to number 3 then. So there's more to appeal to internal communicators, and I will come back to this a little bit later as well. We've seen for the last couple of years that vendors have been turning their focus towards internal communicators' needs, and the features on offer this year will certainly appeal to comms folk. There's a lot more newsletter functionality now than we've seen before, and we've seen features to support communicators with campaigns, and those have been slowly increasing as well. And we're particularly impressed by the variety of channels that communicators can manage from within these platforms now. So that reduces the number of tools or simplifying the publishing process between them as well. We would like to see a little bit more with that campaign support, although we've seen it more now than we have before. There is room for improvement, and communications analytics too. There's always room for improvement there. An example on screen here is of Intranets Block Builder, which is only part of their really good range of communications features, which I will come back to later. But we've seen some really nice ways for people to be able to build their news pages without having to spend lots of time thinking, and it's easy for frequent and infrequent publishers alike. Number 4, an expansion of social features still. So the ripple effect of Meta's announcement in 2024 that they would be sunsetting their workplace platform, those ripples continue to be felt. This year, there are more social and other engagement features within many platforms. So live streaming is a really good example, which has come along a lot more. There's a lot more platforms that are doing that natively now. And we've also seen the introduction of more functionality that many people would recognise from social media platforms too. So stories is a good example, such as on Oak Engage here. The little videos at the top there are that kind of concept of stories or reels, and multiple reaction types as well. We're seeing more platforms introducing that as a way for people to engage without potentially leaving a comment and feeling exposed by sharing an opinion. Now, social features won't suit every organisation, but they will be familiar to employees and so might help with adoption. So when you're coming to have a look at these platforms, do reflect on what's best for your culture and what's best for your employees before automatically including or discounting any social features which are in these platforms. And number 5, AI. And of course, we're going to have to go into a little bit more detail. There's quite a lot to cover here. I could give you an entire webinar on AI trends, but I'm only going to focus on a few things and give you some highlights instead. So there are 6 things I'm going to cover, so it's going to be a bit of a whistle-stop tour, but hopefully 6 topics that will be relevant for you. So first of all is the cost of AI. And this is something that I've been asked quite a lot actually in the last 6 months, I would say, is a question that's coming up a lot more from people across the industry. And within the reviews, we've noted where AI features come at additional cost and where organisations can bring your own AI tools. So if you had a specific LLM already in place, there are sometimes you can bring that along and plug it into a platform. But would advise that you speak to vendors about whether you want to bring your own AI or where there are those cost concerns. You'll need to kind of factor that into your planning and talk to vendors early on. An example on screen is Copilot, which has additional features inside of Viva Engage. So it's something to factor into when you're thinking about the costs. Otherwise, the cost is assumed to be included in the pricing that's been provided to us, and largely we're seeing vendors absorb the cost of using AI. This might not be sustainable longer term, and we have said where vendors have mentioned that high AI usage may incur additional costs. So again, do talk to vendors about that. If you think that your organisation is going to be using AI a lot, then talk to them about what the implication could be. And the last cost is the broader environmental impact, and it's largely an unseen cost. But I wanted to just take a moment just to have a look at this one in a little bit more detail. Because when we've been working with clients recently, we've noticed that that environmental consideration has been a factor that has played a part in the RFP process. And given the global attention on environmental matters and the impact on the environment from AI alone, we wanted to explore whether and what vendors were doing to mitigate some of their platform's impact. And we were really pleased to see that 51% of the vendors we've reviewed have something in place themselves already. Many of the others have plans to do something, and then some of the others maybe just rely on whatever their partners are doing. So AWS or Microsoft, for example, they're just waiting to see what their partners are doing rather than something themselves. There are a few things that some vendors are doing. So EcoVadis is an example. That is a company that assesses other organisations' environmental, social and ethical performance and awards associated ratings that are globally recognised. And 19% of the vendors that we assessed have an EcoVadis rating. ISO 14000 is a set of international standards for environmental management systems, and the management of AI technologies comes within 14002. And 19% of the vendors that we assessed have one or both of those in place. Finally, 27% of vendors have committed to other activities, so signing the UN Global Compact, or maybe local tree planting, or something other that's a social and a community activity that may be local to them. I wanted to just say a quick thank you to all of those vendors that are shown here for taking the environment into consideration alongside your product features. And if this is something that matters to your organisation, then do make sure you ask them as part of that RFP process. Right, so let's have a look at features then of AI. So generative AI now is pretty much normal. I'm not going to talk about it because you'll find it in nearly every platform that we've assessed. But we have started seeing further administration settings and tools to tailor generative AI outputs, such as the application of tone of voice guidance or maybe even company context as well. And we've also seen AI being used to recommend improvements to content. So a standout here is the example on screen, which is WorkEye, which flags the potential duplication of content and also overlap within campaigns as well. So it's there as a support for communicators. And in some platforms, AI enhances communications beyond prompt-based generation of articles as well. So generated audio digests provide employees with alternative ways to consume content. And this can be particularly valuable for frontline employees who may have more time to listen to content while they work rather than having time to sit down and read. First up and Oak have included smart delivery of content for a number of years, and the platforms use behavioural data about the employee combined with metadata from the article, such as the urgency that it needs to be read by, to present that content in the best time for the individual. And this can be particularly useful for multinational organisations that are operating in multiple office hour time zones, or those who have to tackle shift patterns as well. And while communicators may want to retain control, this sort of functionality is becoming more common in social media and newsletter scheduling tools as well. So we're surprised that other vendors haven't explored this approach much just yet, and suspect that it might be something that comes along in the future. Allowing employees to consume content in their preferred language isn't new, and most tools provide some form of AI auto-translation. Zoho, for example, only provides auto-translation under the end user's control, not publishers. And some vendors have expanded translations in innovative directions as well. So, for example, Sociable will translate speech in videos and synchronize lip movements at the same time. And while somewhat uncanny for the video subject, I have seen myself speaking Italian when I don't speak Italian. This could help deliver a message more successfully where translated captions just aren't quite enough. Search. There's a few things here because it's been something that's expanded a lot more over the last year. And around 3/4 of the products we've reviewed include some form of AI search experience now, usually a summarized answer to the search term posed, but there are a few other things as well. The quality of that AI search experience does vary, so make sure that you get a demo of this area if it's an important area to you, which, to be honest, is an important area for most organizations. And there's 5 subparts of this AI search experience that I wanted to touch on. So first of all is local versus global searches, and tools typically include a global search and or a localized search experience, with the latter indexing a defined repository of information. A local AI search that indexes only HR information, for example, can be valuable when positioned in the HR section. And it's important that this scoped search approach is made clear to employees so they don't think they're searching for everything. They know that they are searching just within that particular location. And in some cases, a platform's AI search doesn't respect permissions, meaning that the results aren't security trimmed. And this poses a risk that data is presented to someone when they shouldn't be able to see it. Alternatively, it may frustrate employees who don't understand why only some content is being returned in the global search as they see it. So the positioning, how it works, how you explain it to people is really important to get right and communicate effectively. There's a nice example here, which is Mango App's local search. They do also have a global one, but this is an example of a localized search. And this allows people to interrogate the content of individual documents stored within the intranet, which we think is quite a handy addition of something if someone just wants to get to the heart of what it is they're looking for, or ask maybe an obscure question that is buried in the document. The second one is around the variety of prompts and devices. Some platforms allow for voice prompts alongside typed ones, which is really helpful for those using mobile environments, for example, so frontline workers again. And whether an AI search experience is available on both mobile and desktop does vary, though. So again, it's worthwhile checking with any vendors as what approach they are taking and what approach matters to you the most. Number 3, looking for everything and everyone. Some platforms are good when it comes to looking for articles and pages, but won't index files, integrated information sources, or even people in the AI search experience. And FreshMind, the AI search in Fresh, provides an excellent experience when it comes to looking for people. Natural language questions can be used to find colleagues based on all profile attributes. So, for example, you can type who is an expert in topic X, and those experts will then be returned to you. And when a person is found, FreshMind offers the ability to start a Teams chat or even book a meeting where it will check both calendars for available times and propose a suitable meeting time, which we think is really helpful. Number 4, search admin tools. The best AI search features provide admins with tools to adjust the search experience. And this includes providing company context and being able to scope the search as wanted. For example, federating external sources alongside intranet sources, being able to block topics such as salary information, or letting employees provide feedback to admins on the effectiveness of the chatbot search are all good examples that we've seen, but aren't consistent across platforms. And we think further controls could and should be put into admins' hands in futures around AI search and search more generally as well. And last up, search analytics. So the presence of search analytics is inconsistent, whether an AI feature is in use or not, and the quality of the data can also vary significantly across all intranet platforms. And we would really like to see more data presented to admins so that they can improve the search experience and content experience, and then also correct any issues with the AI at the same time. That search, digital workplace agents is also a bit of a hot topic at the moment. A digital workplace agent allows a user to complete a task, usually via a chat interface where they can pose natural language questions from anywhere in the digital workplace without needing to worry about the source system. And this concept has been around for many years, but with the introduction of AI, it means there is far less configuration for organizations to get it all set up and working. It does tend to rely on existing workflows, however, though, so bear that in mind. And Microsoft have been promoting Copilot as the de facto digital workplace solution, and with significant cost and configuration effort, it does work well. Employee self-service agents can connect Microsoft 365 to HR and IT systems like ServiceNow or Workday, and let employees complete tasks via Copilot's chat interface. It's important to note that this does not create new workflows. It does depend on those existing processes and proper integration. Just having one doesn't fix all of your problems. You do need to sort out governance and workflows and all of those things. It's not a magic bullet. Vendors do also offer agentic AI, but the range of integrations for each is a little bit limited. Powell, for example, allow for one agent per third-party system, while Staffbase have started with HR tasks and will expand out over time. AppSpace, which you can see on screen here, and Sociable probably have the fullest agentic AI offerings at present. And in fact, given how hot a topic agentic AI is, I was quite surprised that there weren't more on offer as yet when we came to have a look at the full findings. I was expecting to list out loads and loads of platforms with agentic AI, but in fact, that wasn't the case. It's quite interesting. Just over a third of the products that we've reviewed include AI functionality for admins. And given the repetitive and time-consuming nature of some of those admin tasks, we feel this area is ripe for further development across the industry. Some vendors have developed functionality here, and we look forward to seeing what they do next. Analytics is a really good example. So given the inconsistencies in the quality of analytics across all platforms, this is one area where we're desperate to see further innovation. There's a real opportunity here to make a difference, and we have started to see some things coming out. A handful already offer some form of AI functionality within analytics, and Populo stands out here, offering dynamic dashboards that can be filtered in useful ways. There's also an AI agent that enables communicators to ask questions in a ChatGPT style to draw insights, comparisons, and high-level recommendations for improving engagement and reach. And this is a really excellent use of AI, providing actionable insights that communicators will find valuable and really is supportive. Tagging and governance. So governance, as I've already mentioned, is vital to the ongoing success of any digital workplace platform, yet is often overlooked in software capabilities and hard for administrators to maintain. AI would be a great help here, and it's good to see some vendors have introduced functionality already, although it's primarily through auto tagging of content, using AI to apply those tags to content as things are created. Creating pages. So generative AI, I've already mentioned, can usually be used for creating pages across the platform, although it's not always available to those outside of a communications studio type space. Some vendors offer a variation providing specifically designed AI tools for building evergreen reference materials. And while generative AI is common now, we think offering approaches tailored to reference materials would be helpful. So it's something that's a little bit more context driven. We'd also like to see this go a step further, so the AI creates the materials in a way that works well for readers, as well as being fully optimized to perform well in AI search, because they are two different things, provide two different experiences, that one is more optimized for one than the other, as you would expect. When it comes to design and broader admin tools, they aren't that common as yet, but they do offer the opportunity to reduce some of the initial setup and ongoing analysis burden from admins across the site. There are some existing tools that will allow admins to interact conversationally, so surfacing information, assisting with configuration, and providing a self-service way to optimize advanced admin features. And Unily made an announcement in late 2025 about significant design developments that are coming very soon. And this will allow organizations to build an entire intranet, or potentially just an individual site, but an entire intranet using just a few prompts. And you can see an example here, which was created in just that way. And that was done within minutes, when it could be something that could take a very long time to achieve an equivalent. That's a quick look at the AI then. I am happy to answer more questions. I can see the little red dot showing that some have come through. I will answer what I can later on, but let's have a look at the scenario highlights, the 8 scenarios that we've assessed in depth. The first scenario is the employee experience. And in this scenario, we wanted to see the overall experience of using the product from an end user's perspective. And as a general point, we don't invite platforms to participate in our reviews at all if they deliver a poor experience. So that means that the average scenario score is the highest in this scenario at 4.02 out of 5. We do say whether we observe clunky or something that doesn't behave particularly well. And similarly, we'll highlight where comprehensiveness has an impact on UX. So something is really sophisticated, but it makes it difficult to use, then that's something that we will call out. It's in the nuances of this scenario where we see real differences, and platforms make a differentiation for themselves. So support for multiple languages, for example, multimedia as well, and surprisingly, notifications are where there is real differentiation. And that makes some stand out as more well-rounded solutions than others. And on screen, you can see Halo, which is an independent intranet solution that provides a pleasant user experience that's quite often via this social feed approach. And on the right is Involve, which is a SharePoint intranet in a box solution that simplifies and enhances the experience provided by standard SharePoint. Scenario 2 is communications management, and every product has some form of news creation process, and more often than not, this will now include that generative AI that I mentioned before. And when you come to have a demonstration, do have a look at the news creation process, but think about how sophisticated or not you and other content owners really want it to be. If you're buying something that only the internal comms team will use, then maybe go for something that's really fancy and really sophisticated. But if you've got a decentralized news creation process and people who are really infrequent publishers, then something simpler might be better. In this scenario, we did look beyond just creating the news to explore news flow management, such as through a calendar or Kanban board or something similar. And the comprehensiveness here varied quite a lot from product to product. And we expect that internal communicators will increasingly want news management features as additional channels are added. And we hope to see this area expand across products, that people can manage those multiple comms channels and allow them to have a tool that will allow them to create once and then share in many places, which is incredibly valuable. And we did explore that a little bit, and we've seen the range of capabilities expand in the past year or so, but there is definitely still room for improvement here. And a new addition to this scenario is campaign management, which is not generally well served at present and has contributed to a dip in the scenario's average score to 3.67 out of 5. And analytics for communicators has also been added into this scenario and also contributes to that lower average. If campaigns management and or communications related analytics matters to you, then you'll need to look carefully for an appropriate solution so you can see those really well-rounded options. And there are a couple of examples on screen from First Up and Staffbase that offer some really interesting stuff. But I also wanted to highlight Interact, Unity and WorkVivo as they have an overall strong performance in this scenario as well. So they're all worthwhile having a look at if comms is important to you. Scenario 3, community engagement. So a small number of vendors choose to rely on Microsoft applications to deliver community features, such as Fever Engage for social spaces or Forms for surveys. Although these Microsoft applications do have a couple of gaps. So have a look at our SharePoint review and see where we've highlighted maybe there's a little bit of gapping of functionality there. But elsewhere, there are strong approaches to community spaces. So there are some good surveying tools across products as well, although the comprehensiveness really does vary too. So that means that some products, such as WorkEye, WorkVivo and Zoho, offer alternatives that are strong enough to replace dedicated tools like SurveyMonkey, while others provide simpler approaches. And this year, we explored ways platforms could celebrate or facilitate key moments across the employment lifecycle. So, for example, 2/3 of our full reviews included reference to employee recognition and or awards facilitation, like Employee of the Month. And there's a real mixed picture in the industry where some vendors claim to have tools to mark those employment lifecycle stages, but actually offer content approaches. So these may include templates, but often are no different from any other departmental or community space. So for example, providing a space for onboarding is common, but journeys that actually step employees through a process like onboarding or annual reviews is unusual. Overall, this scenario offers vendors an opportunity to expand their product's usefulness within an organisation, potentially removing the need and associated complexity and expense for additional engagement products. And while social features won't be suitable for all organisations I've mentioned before, the familiarity of the features will likely help with employee adoption. Scenario 4, so digital workplace integrations and services. Broadly speaking, all platforms require a degree of time and effort and potentially additional cost to achieve comprehensive results in this scenario. And that's where I pointed out right at the start where we have those optional extra scores. You'll really see that in this scenario where there's that difference between what you can do just out of the box and maybe where you need to spend that additional time or money to achieve something. A lot of vendors provide display-only integration solutions or take employees to source systems where they're interacted with. And this approach works fine, but for the full digital workplace front door approach, we think all employees will expect to do everything they need to do from one platform. Or from wherever it is they're working, if it's not within the intranet, which is a different topic entirely, which I won't touch on in any more detail. Some vendors offer access to a developer tool so that admins can create their own solutions, and others offer a micro app or manually configured workflow approach, which is sometimes delivered via a chat interface. Most platforms offer configurable links with single sign-on, while we were surprised to find integrated notifications are a lot less common. Most of the platforms we reviewed integrate well with Microsoft applications, although it is still a mixed bag, particularly for bringing Microsoft content into the intranet. Gint offers a good range, and you can see that on screen here, allowing organisations to make good use of their Microsoft investment. And as I've already mentioned, despite all that industry noise about AI agents, we found that these largely don't appear in the platforms we reviewed just yet, although are on many immediate roadmaps. So we suspect to see more come out in the next year, next 6 months to a year. AppSpace, Powell, Staffbase, and Sociable, which is on screen here, do offer AI agents to some extent, and you can read more about those in the report. The fifth scenario is around knowledge and content management, and this is a new addition for this year. And so providing good access to evergreen reference material is a common use case for intranets. And we were surprised to see this scenario among the lower scoring, with an average score of 3.45 out of 5. And simple solutions aren't necessarily a bad thing. It depends on your needs and the needs of your employees. For those organizations that have sophisticated knowledge management needs, however, there are some solutions that really do stand out, and you can see a couple of them on the page here. It's just one example. Organizing knowledge and reference material is at the core of Atlas's functionality. Central to the employee experience is a configurable template for setting up knowledge bases. And this template includes a number of web parts to access, search, and filter for specific knowledge items. And it also comes with a domain-specific AI assistant that has been configured to use only relevant data sources. Also in this scenario, we looked at managing content lifecycle and governance, and it's a mixed bag across platforms, where it can be difficult for content owners to see the status and performance of their content in a simple central location. Notifications about content that needs to be reviewed or is due to expire are helpful, but again, aren't found consistently. And other elements of this scenario include ways in which businesses could reach employees with urgent or critical communications. And this was largely addressed well through functionality that's covered in scenario 2, but things like mandatory read type capabilities remain inconsistent again. Similarly, and as mentioned in other scenarios, content analytics are inconsistent, and we want to see that data that allows content owners to make informed decisions to really be enhanced within these platforms and help people make those informed, insightful decisions about how to develop their spaces. Scenario 6, information finding and search. Around 3/4 of platforms we reviewed include that AI enhanced search in some form or another, which I've already talked about. And Engio and Omnia on screen here are two nice examples of that AI search in action. We also assess the traditional search experience across platforms alongside the AI search approach, as search can often make or break the success of an intranet. And often search issues aren't associated with the technology behind the scenes, but sometimes platform decisions do make an impact, such as those products that are still missing simple features like search refiners. And these vendors tend to argue that their search technology will automatically present the right result to people, particularly given the introduction of AI. But given search issues are usually associated with content problems, particularly around governance that I've already mentioned, I'm skeptical of that response. I think that there are ways for people to be able to refine results, assuming that the content isn't there immediately. Search management tools like promoted results or best bets can give administrators greater control over search results and help present the right thing to employees. But the extent of and effectiveness of those tools are missing or vary between the products that we've seen. And this is also the case for the AI search, where being able to tweak it could really provide a more powerful experience. We also wanted to see search analytics as part of this scenario, and again, analytics are inconsistent and really do make a difference to help those platforms that have a sophisticated approach stand out. In this scenario, we looked at the overall mobile experience, but really prioritised the needs of frontline workers who are likely to use apps the most. Beekeeper, Blink, and Flip are 3 examples of mobile and frontline first solutions, but traditional internet platforms such as Limaps can provide excellent mobile experiences as well. And the initial download and access experience can impact the broader adoption of these tools by frontline workers. And this is one area that vendors address differently and where there is scope for improvement. Local administration by managers, QR code-based access, or even self-serving logins are all useful but inconsistently delivered across these platforms. Unlike in scenario 1 and on desktop, we found that not all products deliver a strong user experience on mobile. This is typically because features like search have been overly simplified on mobile and are less effective, or are very comprehensive, so overwhelm that small screen environment. It's worth noting that despite SharePoint Internet in a Box products having more barriers to deliver that effective mobile experience, many do a good job, but richer experiences are generally delivered by independent intranet solutions, and those on screen here, which are mobile first. Where platforms do deliver an effective mobile experience, they may not consider the specific needs of frontline workers. And we expect to see settings like do not disturb periods for shift workers, or built-in tools or integrations that are designed with these employees in mind, such as viewing pay slips, for example, being able to read things offline. And overall, most vendors do a good job of creating a mobile environment that gives a parity of features with the desktop, but frontline first employee mobile app solutions understandably tend to offer the best mobile experiences. Organizations should therefore consider what experience they want to provide for employees across device types before making any buying decisions. And finally, scenario 8, the admin experience isn't always something vendors voluntarily demo to potential purchasers during product selection, so we would advise you ask to see how this works. It's worth noting that many of the SharePoint Intranet in a Box platforms simplify the experience in comparison to standard SharePoint, and Powell is a good example here on screen. In this example, we also explored branding support, where the sophistication of options really does vary, and some support multi-brand businesses with attractive designs, while others offer far simpler solutions. So again, is an area for you to consider when you are buying something. Often, attractive branding options indicate where a platform supports good overall design options, including flexible and effective homepage creation. Some offer fixed designs, particularly where there is news or activity feed that dominates, while others give a great deal of control to admins. And both approaches work well, but we often find clients want more control, so greater flexibility can appeal more. Navigation is another area where product approaches vary. Most offer multiple design options such as mega menus or single level menus, and a handful have navigation that's not configurable, in that they're reflecting of predefined spaces such as pages or communities that display lists of what subspaces people can access. And it works well, but it may not meet the needs of everybody who wants that greater level of control. And finally, in this scenario, our reviewers explored what adoption, engagement, and other platform management analytics were available to administrators. So analytics once again, and as mentioned as elsewhere, the quality of analytics across the industry really does vary hugely. There is a nice example from Intranet.ai on the screen here, which includes an AI agent that allows admins to interrogate data and uncover learnings. And we'd like to see improvements across the board. That's it for what I'm going to cover today. If you want to read any more about any of those, then you can do so in our report. This is where I've shared the page numbers for the different sections if you want to go and read through and see more examples. And we'll share that listing alongside the video that we'll share with you a little bit later on as well.